love doesn't disappear. It gets buried under life, stress, and unmet expectations. And the question isn't, do we still love each other? It's, are we still choosing each other? Let's talk about it right after this.
Let's talk about love and marriage, the way that God intended. A life experience, here we share it. The Love Fruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. We'll help your spirit transform.
Hey, y'all, what's going on?
Hello.
So, I have a question. Do y'all think love is an emotion, or do y'all think it's a decision? What do you think, Kav?
We're taught that it's an emotion, but I think you have to make a decision to act upon that emotion. I think it's an action word as well.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what the dictionary tells us. I guess you can, act upon that feeling, that emotion. That's what I think. How about you? What you think?
I believe the same thing. But I think that it's a decision to love someone.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make that decision, because sometimes we use that word interchangeably with any and everything. Hey, I love that dress, or I love that car, or whatever. And so, unfortunately, the value of that word, to me, has been diminished to a great degree. As I was told growing up, you don't love inanimate objects. That's what I was told.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like it a lot, yes. But do I love it? Not necessarily. So do I have favorites of an inanimate object? Yes, I do. But I can't sit here and say, like, there's an object that I just totally love. But I think it's different when you're able to understand it when it comes to an individual. Do you love that person? Because you make a decision on that, because that individual can change up. Again, life stuff, stress, health, whatever the situation might be.
Right.
And so you have to make a decision to show up, in my opinion, every day for that individual through, when they say through sickness and in health, I mean, that's a real statement.
Yes.
And a lot of times we only think of health from a outward space. I'm coughing, I'm sneezing, pooping, whatever it might be, but what happens when your mental health is going crazy? And that's a lot of times you don't see that. A lot of times, like again, I have family members who have, who have had to deal with dementia. And unfortunately, you don't get a chance to be notified that, hey, this person's going through dementia.
Right.
They leaving phones and keys, getting locked out the door. You go into their house and the door is wide open, or the door is unlocked, or, whatever the situation might be. And then now, they're locked in the house because unfortunately they have a two-sided lock, with the key. And unfortunately, you can't even get in the doggone house.
Right.
And
That's scary.
so, but they're calling you like, hey, I don't know how to get in that. I can't unlock the door. I can't find my key. So now you got to go over to their house with a key. Luckily you have a key, right? And drop the key in through the mail slot, and get them to get that, and, then to unlock the door, but you don't know that those are some of the early warning signs of other things, right? And so now you got to make a decision. Do you still love that person enough to bear through all of that? And my first story, I guess, of that was your coworker. Of all the stuff she was going through with her husband.
Right.
And so did she love him enough to bear through all of that was going on, or was she really in a situation like, yo, I can't go through this no more. We're about to get a divorce. And sometimes we don't know what that person is going through.
Right.
And so I do believe that love is a decision and that you have to make it every single day.
And I think, as you're talking about that coworker, and some people could say, oh, that's so big of her to make that decision to love her husband that much, even in that time when he was not aware of what was going on. In the car driving around, nobody knows where he is, to the anger and things like that had gone on towards others. What stage of love and what amount of love is there, one, for the spouse to be there and support them through this time, and then the love of yourself. Like, how much can you take of that, and understanding oneself and whatnot. So it's those two things of choosing, loving that other person through all those things, or in all those things. 'Cause I don't know if you necessarily go through it and you come out on the, a different side, or does it continue to get worse? And then loving yourself as well in all of that, and making those choices, making those decisions in that particular time. But I think you ultimately, yes, choose to love other people. Hopefully it's something that is in return, like you're not one-sided with it. I think that's a whole nother podcast. If, all the love is going one way and not being returned, reciprocated. But I think, we've talked about this on the previous season, of, making the choice to love and choosing to love. And that every day you have to do that, especially in marriage. Like you wake up every day choosing to love that person. And it's not saying like you fall out of love with them or whatever, but you make that choice to put that person first. You make the choice to do something for them or with them or whatever. So I think that's...
Well, how about in a situation where you feel like your feelings have shifted? I mean, so, do you feel like during our 25 years, your feelings have shifted to some degree towards me?
I mean, during our 25 years, we've been, up and down, ins and outs. So there's been days where I didn't make the decision. I didn't choose left or right. I didn't choose the red pill or the blue pill. I just was moving, or just existing or whatever, not making necessarily a conscious decision of a choice to even love myself, So I think it differed between each season of my life, each season of our marriage. How about for you?
I mean, I would say that, yes, feelings has shifted. And I would say that at times it felt like, more especially when they were shifting towards something more negative, it really felt like, again, we were done. And that, unfortunately, the idea that the grass is greener somewhere else creeps in. And I'm saying that because, again, you have no idea what outside influences are there. So, and you have no idea if someone's plotting on what you got going on or whatever it is, and so, so then, you hear other people's situations and issues or whatever it is. You like, wow, I'm in the same spot, and unfortunately you don't realize that, I'm upset because they upset. You get what I mean? And Um, and so now I'm looking at what's going on in my household and how things ain't going down the way I thought they were going to or whatever it is. And now it's like, all right, it's a wrap. We ain't doing this, we ain't doing that. I mean, I used to play this song, by Drew Hill, and I remember, Cop, you were not feeling it, whatever. We're not making love no more. And but here's the thing though. When I listen to that song now, I think at that time, immaturity, there was a lot of sarcasm in that or doing that. I think now when I listen to the song, especially if I just say we're not making love no more, why aren't we? Or why haven't we? What changed? What, whatever. So if we're going to talk from the physical perspective, well, from the time we got together to now, I must have gained another 3 people weight wise, so, and so then from just a sheer physical perspective, is that attractive? And so is that attractive not only to you, but is it attractive to me?
Mm-hmm.
And then with that comes what else? Things that you got to be concerned about. So if you feel like that, you've gained weight, well, do I have an odor? Do I have this and that? So again, is that attractive or not? Right? And so just from a physical perspective, and physical does not necessarily mean, we're playing the horizontal mamba vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's, also about, hey, are we able to snuggle up on the couch without me smelling like, fried chicken and underarms?
Mm.
So that's the way I felt. Those are the moments that I had. And then also other situations of, I had really, really bad tonsils. Like my tonsils was catching all my ailments, sicknesses, or whatever it is. And, breath wise wasn't right, whatever. Or, you're winded just going up the steps, whatever the situation, like whatever challenges and changes you go through.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, when it comes down to those things, again, do you love someone else, let alone love yourself?
Right.
And that's the decision of like, hey, you know what? Am I going to be like, yo, I'm going to be, unfortunately, this is some social media mentality stuff, but I'm the baddest looking fat person ever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But again, I understand the level of strength and confidence you need to have just to be comfortable in your own skin. But again, if they sell skin tight stuff, don't be comfortable in that type of skin.
It's funny. When I was in high school, I guess I used to say, and kind of like through high school and maybe a little bit of college, I would say to people, just because it comes in your size doesn't mean you can wear it. So when you said something about, the tights or whatever, it made me think of that little saying I used to say.
But again, that is some of that, in all honesty, and there is no form of body shaming, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of this comes down to, again, what is the appearance? Because sometimes that is appearance and how people perceive you. Now, you can't always base your life upon that. Like, don't get me wrong. But if you're, which I have seen and I have heard of circumstances and situations where someone goes for a job interview,
mm-hmm.
right? And you have on literally the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. It's showing way too much. And you can sound and look qualified, But keep in mind, people do have an image of what they want their organization to look like.
Right.
It's just what it is. And so if you don't fit that particular image, you don't have the right type of voice or whatever it might be and I'm just coming from my own customer service perspective, right? I worked in customer service. So if you did not have the speaking voice, enunciation, understanding the what the organization is providing one way or another, if you did not have all those things and also be able to speak to the customer politely, with a smile, all those type of things, guess what? It wasn't going to work. So when it's time to sit down and understand who you really are and being able to say, you know what, I could look in the mirror and love myself, that might be good customer service back to yourself, right? And whatnot. So I think that when we talk about these feelings and how they have shifted because of moments, opportunities, situations, or whatever it is, I think you bring it up a great point of, hey, where am I at with myself first?
Yeah.
And then it trickles down to any and everybody
else. Yeah. And having some of that understanding of what love is and the decision about love, you have to make the decision to love yourself. And then after that, the emotion follows for yourself. And as well as when you make the decision to love other people, the emotion, the action follows after that. And sometimes we think it happens the other way. Like you hear so many people of, love at first sight, where it kind of comes off like an action or something happened to you. Cartoons have the baby Cupid running around with the arrows and, something happened to me. And then, I fell in love. And Maurice, when you and I tell our love story of when we first met, and you saw me from across the room, and my face, shined, and my smile glowed. All those great things.
It was just the Vaseline.
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
It was kind of cool out, but anyway. So some would think that, hey, the action, the emotion happened first, but that was the attraction. But then to actually have love, you had to make that decision to get to that place and be willing to identify, that as love. So that's just what I'm thinking. And I think all of that takes, even once you have that feeling, in order to continue on, and you have to continue to choose it, even though things in life continue to change and fluctuate, you have to stay committed to love, not only just to that person, but also stay committed to love.
And I hear you, but I think there's sometimes that commitment, again, gets blurry. And it gets blurry because of, again, all the things that happens in life. If I feel as though that I am 3 of me from the time you've met me, do I really love myself? Especially if I am in a position of, I remember when. I remember when I was. I look at pictures, or you and I look at pictures, you be like, I don't like you. Like that's the vibe you get. You don't say it like that, but that's the vibe you kind of give. Like, I don't like looking at me then. You're like, I don't like you. Like, that's a little boy. Like, look at you. Like, you don't look right. Like, you look sick. You look like a little kid. Like, even like, and I say like, even like right now, you're like, well, Maurice, I really kind of like you with the little gray beard, my little silver fox, mindset, right? But then if I take it off, you're like, well, it's okay. You get what I mean?
Right.
So, has.
I mean, I have to appreciate, you have to care for it. You have to like it. It's on your face. I'm not wearing it. I understand, I see you, I see my son, facial hair, you're scratching, hey, whatever, what's going on. As hair grows back in, yes. So I can understand that. I understand the generation we kind of come from with clean shaven faces a little bit more. The whole beard thing didn't come in till, I don't know, much later.
But again, even with that, again, understanding what is our true family background.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of them are military,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
I mean, my father's military as well, but
that's why I said majority.
Right, but he wore a beard.
Yeah, he did.
I mean,
Well, I guess it balanced out the bald head.
I guess he
Yeah.
wasn't totally bald, but yes.
Yeah, he had the I don't even know.
Sherman Hemsley.
Yeah, he did. And the crazy thing was that he had a hat. So
Mhm.
all the crazy movies that y'all see where people have like the Sherman Hemsley and have a hat on, you be like, oh wow, you got a whole lot of hair, and then he take that hat off, you be like, ah, it'll be the funniest thing.
I
but
see your thoughts.
yeah, it'll be crazy.
Yes, but yeah. So during the service, while in the service, he joined fairly young, so there was no facial hair. But from when I can remember, and I look at pictures, he had facial hair later on in life. So
Yeah, but I think those are the things that when we take a look at how things and situations shifts the way we feel,
mhm.
Sometimes we don't look at it as a true invitation. Invitation.
Mhm.
It's not coming out right.
Too many ends.
Right. Invitation that or a true opportunity. Maybe
Mhm.
that's better. Maybe I could say that better. That here is a moment where we can open up the door
Mhm.
to new and something maybe even more exciting opportunities.
Mm.
Yes, it might be a situation where it might backfire a little bit,
Wow.
but again, you won't know until you step out of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, until you understand, like, hey, maybe there is a shift, and maybe I do like my beard. Maybe I don't like the beard.
Mhm.
Maybe I mean, especially for myself, that's been one that has not been able to always grow facial hair the way it's growing right now. And some of it, I think, is my male menopause thing, whatever. But hormonal situations and changes or whatever it is,
Right.
But, am I okay with it? I am, but again, you haven't always said to me, Maurice, I like your beard, right?
Mhm.
Because at one time I do believe you said you kind of liked it a little more clean shaven, but that might be also when it was patchy as all get out
Mhm.
as well. It's just like, yo, dude, that joint just ain't connecting.
Well, I think
And
it's also at that particular time your goatee was a little bit longer, so that you had hair. It was just in a different place, not across. On your cheeks. It was all at the chin. So, yeah. So I've never was like, oh yeah, cut it all off. You would get it shorter or whatever. I'm like, all right, dude, what are you trying to do? You trying to cut it all off? You trying to go back to 19 something?
Why do you look like, what's that cartoon with the little thing with the skinny mustache?
Oh yeah.
I
can't remember the name.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
drawing a blank. So, but you're like, no, that doesn't do anything for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, but because of that, all right, so now, because it doesn't do anything for you, how do you really feel? It doesn't, if it doesn't do anything for you, are you now in a situation or a place where it's like, oh, you're still kind of cute, you're my husband, but yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, I can't say that facial hair is going to be like, oh, dag, I don't like you no more. I can't say that weight, if you gain 50 pounds, like that's going to be like, oh, we need to get a divorce. You didn't gain 50 pounds, Now, we joked around about that when we first got together before we got married, because you told me if I, became fat that you would divorce me or
Bounce.
leave
Yeah.
me, type thing. So, later on you're like, no, I was just playing, but it was a thought. And
But I can't remember the reason why I said it. There was a specific reason why I said it and was joking about it. I don't recall what triggered that. But I mean, let's be honest, right? So we got pregnant, had a baby, or whatever else. How long did you hold on to that baby weight?
the first one, not long. You told me I look sick. When you look at the pictures afterwards, you're like, your clothes were falling off of you or whatever. The second one, I held on to the weight
Right.
longer. And then, like you said, through some of our ups and down periods of our marriage, you can clearly see through our pictures that I had more weight on me.
Right.
So,
So I think those are the things that, again, makes feelings shift, make ideas shift, and so, so I do truly believe that it really is an opportunity to grow deeper, to grow negatively.
Right. But there's one thing I think that we can certainly do and think about this week is what are some things that you and I can do to still show that we still choose each other? How can I show, maybe we can put that into practice throughout the week, and everybody that's listening can do it as well. What are some ways daily that we can show an action that says, I choose you, babe. You're important to me. I love you. Without just saying, I love you.
Well, I think one way I could do that is, it's stupid.
Oh, goodness.
Not passing gas in bed.
Oh, my. You don't do it that often.
But what I do, it'd be a doozy. Or not have moments when I run into the wall.
That was one time.
Yeah. But we laughed about that joint for like how long?
A long time.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
If y'all would have seen that, I hit the wall and I bounced off.
He bounced.
And it was funny. So all the all three people were hurt.
I can't with you.
All three of us were hurt.
Oh, goodness. Y'all going to have to listen to this episode again to get that joke he just said. Oh, my gosh. That's deep. That's real deep. Anyway, I appreciate you all. I thank you for listening to us rant and rave about this. We love you. We hope that you love each other. And God bless. Until next time.
We'll talk to you later. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the No Fruit Podcast, where we bring you fruitful conversations, ripened wisdom, and love that's deeply rooted. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration in their day. Until next time, stay rooted in love, and remember, every seed you plant today shapes the fruit of tomorrow.